Hi everyone, my name is Lori, my nickname is Reenie, and this is Reenie Bobini Creations. If it's the first time you've stopped by to check out my channel, I'd like to offer you a very warm welcome. And to my subscribers, I'm so glad you're back. I hope you love this one. This one's very practical and very useful. So it's just this organization board that I made. Actually, it's hanging on my wall by my computer at work. And I may even make one for my craft room later on, but it was all stuff I sort of had on hand actually. So yeah, I think the only thing I went out and actually purchased for it was the baking pan from the Dollarama, and everything else I just had. So dig in your stash, see what you got, and see what you can come up with. Anyways, I'm going to stop yakking at you so we can get on with the crafting. Alright guys, so this one's going to be a little bit difficult to film because it's kind of a big piece. But I'm going to make a wall organizer for my work actually. And so I've got a whiteboard, a couple of the round cork boards, some of those hooks that you see, and a baking pan. And so the whiteboard is self-explanatory, so is the cork boards. But then the baking pan is going to be magnetic, but I want them to be pretty. So the first thing I'm going to do, you can see I've chosen some paper to use for embellishment and that sort of thing. And then I've got this lovely Spanish moss chalk paint from Folk Art. So I'm going to paint the edges of the whiteboard. I'm going to paint the cork boards in that color. I'm going to paint my hooks in that color, and then I'm going to paint the edges where the paper won't cover on the baking pan. So I'm going to do that off camera because that would be boring entirely for you to watch. And then when all my pieces are painted, we'll come back, we'll start putting it together. Okay guys, so everything's got that coat of paint on it, and this is where we're at with it. So we're going to move on to the next step. Okay, so I've found these two pieces of paper in my stash. And so for the baking pan, we're going to leave it as is and just Mod Podge it right in the middle there. But I wanted to bring it out on this too, and to be honest, I probably won't use this whiteboard as a calendar. I'll probably just end up writing on it. But I couldn't find one without the calendar, so that's what we're with. So I'm going to just cut the flower bits off here. And I've got my little rotary tool, and we need a ruler. And I may need to trim it down a bit more, but we're going to start here. So I'm just going to cut this bit off. I do have a paper cutting tool somewhere. And we're just going to lay that along the bottom, and I'm probably going to just cut some of the other one off so we can get the whole way along. I think I buggered that, but we only need the one end anyway for this, so. Okay, so yeah, we're just going to use some regular Mod Podge to watch that on, and that's going to give us, like, make everything look like it works together. Then I'm also going to cut out some of these to put on our round corks, but we'll get there. So just start, I think I'll start with this corner piece because I think that's the one that I'm gonna have to line it up with the best. So just regular Mod Podge. All right, so we're going to set that one aside to dry. Now you can see I did chip a little bit off. So once I'm done, I'll touch up my spots, but then I'm going to give it a coat of Mod Podge over the whole thing. And I'm not going to do that on the whiteboard because I'm afraid it would compromise the whiteboard and it wouldn't erase off. But I am going to do this one because if on the metal, if it gets banged around a little bit, it will chip off. But we will touch those up just before or just after we get this all Mod Podged on. You can see because I'm using paper and not a napkin, I'm being fairly generous. If you had a napkin you wanted to use, you wouldn't want to be quite so generous with your Mod Podge. You'd want to be a little bit lighter. You'd also want to do it in sections. I'm just, because it's paper and fairly durable comparatively speaking, I am just going to do the whole surface, lay it down, and then smooth it out. But yeah, if you were using a napkin instead, which you perfectly well can do. In fact, I looked through my napkin stash first, but didn't find kind of what I was looking for this. You'd want to do it in sections for sure. So I am going to go over the top. Like I said, I will get back to these. I just noticed them and wanted to get on with it here, so I will touch those up here in just a little bit. And just really make sure you go over those edges really well so they're not lifting up on you. Now my experience has been, you can see it's kind of bubbling here. Generally speaking, I find that once it dries, everything lays flat. If this doesn't lay 100% flat when I'm done, that's okay for this project. I'm not going to be too concerned about it. But that is where napkins do kind of do a little bit better than a full sheet of paper. But I really like this paper. It was going to go in my office, which is going to match lovely. These are the colors in my workspace, so I'm not too concerned if there is the odd bubble. But like I said, most of the time my experience has been that once it dries, some of these bubbles do come back out again. So we are going to do that. Yep, so once I'm all done with the Mod Podge, we'll move on to the final steps. Okay, so I'm going to do one more step here before we start putting our whole project together. And I had this in my stash and I just thought it matched really well. And I just wanted a little something to sort of finish off our edges, pull the whole thing together. So I am going to Mod Podge it, but I am going to start by just hot gluing a corner down. And I'm going to go all the way around that one, I hope. And then if I have enough, I'm going to do a row along there too. And I think that's just going to finish off the edges and just make it, you know, look really finished. So, oh yeah, it is hot. Maybe don't try that way to find out. Didn't feel the heat coming off it today. So as I said, I am going to actually Mod Podge it, but I did just think if I glued the edge, it would keep it in place while I did my thing here. All right, so we'll set that one aside to dry. And then we will put a row along the top here just to kind of finish it off. And I think for this one, I'm gonna just glue it. I think I'm just gonna hot glue this bit. I think it'll be fine. I'm gonna glue it around the back and come around though. There, I really like the way that finished it off. And I may just add, I was kind of hoping I had enough to go around these, but I don't believe that I will. Well, I can get around one. I'm gonna see if I have a little bit more in my stash. Otherwise, I'm not gonna worry about it. So, yay, I did have enough. So I am gonna go around these, and I think that's just gonna pull everything together. So yeah, I'm quite pleased that I had that other bit because I'm quite liking it actually. Yeah, and these ones I'm just gonna use the hot glue on here. Oh, I probably need my finger protector. Okay guys, so this is how it is. It's all done except for putting it all together. And to do that, I am just going to use our E6000. If the board was thicker, I would probably, use some screws or something. But being that it's very thin, it's just the back of a old shelf I had. So I'm hoping this will work okay. If it doesn't, I will let you know. But I'm thinking nothing on here is terribly heavy. The E6000 is pretty good, so that's what I'm going to use. So here it is all finished up. You can see the little piece of tape. I bumped it and had to re-glue, so that's just holding it there, but it does exactly what I wanted it to do, and I'm really pleased with it. So I hope you like it too.